capture all of your information vertically and simply add it to a horizontal database. If any of you have worked horizontally with phone lists, company lists, information, it's very awkward working on looking at it horizontally. It's hard to get a feel for the information. But the other option is you accidentally drop a row, go up a row, you're no longer sure where you are, you go all the way left again, make sure it's the right company name, then you go right. So instead of working horizontally, how nice would it be to work vertically and then add automatically that information straight into your horizontal database? But you work vertically and you can view vertically. So when you're looking for company information, you can simply just pick it and see all that information as you need it. So this is going to show you without using any Visual Basics or any of those high-level requirements. I'm going to show you the real basics of making yourself a very simple data entry form, a data view form, and a way of managing this data that you don't have to type over here. So just to show you how it works, you'll see there's nothing on rows, or let's use my references, there's nothing on 128, 129, 130. So if I went and, I know you wouldn't do this in the real world, but let's say I captured all the information, I would add it, I would clear the screen, capture my next information, add it, clear the screen, capture my next information, and add it. Now when you go over here, you'll see that I've added 3 more pieces of information horizontally to the data. But I didn't have to do any typing over here. So let's go ahead and see how do we make a automated vertical form and have the ability to go and search that form and show the data. What I've done is create 2 tabs, one called form and one called data. So let's start with the data. I have no idea what you'd like to capture. It might be a personal phone list, it could be a company list, a list of customers, a list of videos, a list of your favorite music. It really doesn't matter. I can't tell you how many columns you want or how many rows you need. But for the purpose of this video, I've stolen some data out of one of my old spreadsheets. So we have some columns of information. As you can see, it's all technically a load of nonsense I put into here. We have in fact 21 rows columns of information, and I think I've made it up to, control arrow down, up to 200. So for the purpose of this video, I've made a 21 by 200 database structure. Right, control home again. Let's get back to the beginning. Obviously the data in here is just for training purposes. There's two, I'm not going to tell you how to lay your data out or what headings you're going to use, but there's 2 things I would like you to get in the habit of doing, and I'm just going to add them to the data field, and even though we're not actually going to use them in this video, but it's good practice. You could number these columns, type in 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you've ever done that in the past, you would have noticed that when you insert, delete, or sort things, these numbers go all over the place. So there is a command we can use called columns that will solve this problem, and we're going to use this on the form. So let's just get in the habit of using it here. I'm going to type in the equal sign, which is telling me to get a formula. I'm going to type in the word columns. We'll only have to type in O-C-O-L. It's found some commands. There's column or columns. Well, we want columns. I'm then going to hit the tab button, and I'm going to hit Control A. And it's going to say, right, where's the array you want? Well, I'm just going to click B1 and hit the colon button, and it picks up B1. I then want to lock. I might not be able to do it from here, can I? I want to lock the first, hopefully you know what dollars mean. I'm going to hit the F4 button. So I'm locking position B1 there, but not on the second position. Now all that's achieved, we're using that formula, is it's given me the number 1, which I can then drag right across. So I now know that we've got 21 columns of data. Now why the formula is nice, and I'm going to undo what I'm doing, is if you insert an extra column, you'll see the numbering get sorted out. Let's insert another column. Look, it's now allowing for those additional numbers, and then I can just drag the formula across, And there we go. So my numbering system is perfect. Watch what happens when I now delete those two columns. You'll see that my numbering gets sorted out again. So I like to use a formula for doing this because it eliminates in future mistakes. It's the same for the rows. You could type in the rows. There you go, I just made a mistake already. You could obviously then autofill, and technically that looks okay. But if I obviously now go and insert a row, nothing's happened. The 9 stays over there and it doesn't know what to do. So I'm going to do exactly as we did before. I'm going to say equals RO. It's W. It's picked up, is it a row or rows? I'm going to say, well, it's rows this time. Tab. Oh, I forgot to tab. All right, let's do it again. Equals ROW. We highlight rows. We tab. We control A. And it says, where are you going to start from? Well, we can go there, go colon, and it picks it up. And then we want to lock the first position. So I'm going to lock it with an F4. And away we go. And then we can autofill all the way down by clicking on that little green icon. So, for those that you don't know that, you see there's a little square that autofills or autocopies the data down. So likewise, if I now insert a row, which I don't want to do, you'll notice the numbering all gets sorted out. And if I undo it again, it will put it all back. And the nice thing again about that numbering system is if we were to sort these company names alphabetically and change direction, even if this was the highest to lowest and lowest to highest, the numbers would always be from 1 to 200. So it's a nice habit to get into for numbering rows or numbering columns, is to use the columns and the rows function. That's it for the data tab. There's nothing more I can tell you. I mean, obviously, you know that if you're putting in dates, to format the columns as dates, format as time. This video isn't about formatting. So we are covered on the data tab. Now let's go see how we finish the rest. Did the form out, so there's not much left that currently is working, so that we can put it all back in again. Right, as on the previous video, I said to use the rows function. Well, this time we definitely want the rows function here, and you'll see why later when we get to the auto drop view screen. I don't want you to type the numbers in, really take a look at rows. And what it means is, while you're locking position 1, is it says, well, how many rows are there from 4 to 4? Well, there's 1. How many rows are there from 4 to 5? There's 2. Let's drop down 1. How many rows is there from 4 to 10? There's 7. So this is how the numbering system works, and that's why you have to lock it there, so that when you drag it down, the numbers are 100%. So in your first little column here, and I tend to make it 8 and grey it out, because it's more there for referencing. I'd like you to make we need 21. Why do we need 21? Because we use the columns function over there, and we know we've got 21 columns of data. So we will need 21 horizontal rows as well. Now, the first thing is we want to get all these headings across. Now, you could type them in, you could paste them in, but again, I'd like to use a formula. Now, we're going to be using a formula that's a little awkward on my version of Excel, which I think is 2013. I believe it's got a little easier on later versions, but we're going to do it old school. And why it's a little awkward is you need to first highlight all of the cell positions that you're going to need. So they're currently highlighted. Then we go up to the formula bar and we type in equals TRA. It's picked up transpose. We go tab, control A. It's going to ask us where is your data? Well, we know it's on the data tab. We're going to go and highlight all of our data, all of our headings, right up to the word notes, and I'm going to hit enter. Okie dokie. Now you'll see that it's only pulled in 1. Now that's where it's a little awkward on this version. It's because it's actually an array formula. So before we do anything, you must highlight it again and hit Control Shift Enter. Now you'll see our headings have all come in. Then we can tidy them up and make it a little wider. So I see I've changed my formats. That's okay. I'm actually going to leave it like that for this example. You can make it how you see fit. Now what's nice about doing this transpose function is exactly the same. If you go here and we'll just add in, or we'll make it index with a few extra x's by mistake. But what's nice is if you want is see it's bringing it across. So if you end up changing this from street address to a different type of address or delivery address, whatever changes you make on your headings here automatically get updated here. So again, you're going to eliminate mistakes. So a little awkward command, I have to be honest, to use, but there we go. So we've used our rows function and we've used something called transpose to bring the labels across. This is just dead data. I've left it there because it saves me typing it in this video. So literally, we're done on the adding of data. It's got a number, which we're going to use later. It's got a linked a naming convention that goes back to our data, and we're ready to go. Now, you will need the developer tab enabled. How you get that is you go to File, Options, Customize Ribbon, and you need to make sure the developer button is ticked. Don't worry, we're not going to use any Visual Basic, but we do want to create a couple of push buttons. Now, how do we get data from there into our horizontal? Well, we're going to have to record a macro. Now, people get scared with macros, but all they are at the end of the day is a video recorder. It's no different to a video recorder. So obviously I was playing around earlier. I'm going to delete that video. So, well, there you go. Record a macro. It's like turning on the record button on a video, and whatever you do now gets recorded. So let's do it, this first video together. I'm going to turn the video recorder on. It's going to say, what is this video going to be called, or this recording, and I'm going to say it's the add video. The first thing I do when I start recording macros is hit a couple of tabs. I'm just doing it way too many times, but it needs to know where you want the video to run from. So the trouble with macros is if you don't say run from this tab, it will run from the tab that you're currently on. So it's always best whenever I start recording a video, I just click a couple of tabs and say, right, I want you to start on this tab. So I want you to start on the Forms tab, but to make sure I am on, you know that I'm on the Forms tab, I'm going to go there and come back again. So it just means click off one and come back, just to make sure the recording knows exactly where you are. Right, so obviously you've gone and typed all this in, which I didn't do. I'm far too lazy. You're going to copy it. You're going to go to your Data tab. You're going to go to the number 1, and you are going to do Control down arrow. That is going to go to the last entry in your database. I then need you to use a relative reference. I need you to down arrow, so you're down arrowing one additional move. You are then going to right click, paste special, only the values, and you're going to transpose them. Now that data's in horizontally, you're going to then untick this for the next time we use it. I then usually, oh no, we can leave it there. Why bother going home? So and I'm going to go back to the forms because again we're recording, so I'm going to go to the form and I'm going to just hit Control Home. Okay, and then I'm going to stop recording. That is it. You have basically completely finished now the data entry tool. I mean, that was not difficult. Now we just got to see if it works. Right. We haven't shown you how to add buttons, so I'm not going to do this for both because we'll just use this one later. Right, so you haven't got any buttons yet, so you're going to do the following. You're going to insert a button. How big must your button be? Holding the button down. What macro must be assigned to it? The add. And we're going to rename it to add. hopefully. Nope. Oh, there we go. Right click. Edit text. Zap. Space. Enter. Oh, there. Wow. Really not having much luck with this one, am I? Edit text. Get backspace. Backspace. Right. Zap. Edit text. Who know the hardest part of this video would be typing. Oh, it can stay up there for now. Right, so we've created a button called add. We created a button called add and we assign that video recording to it. Now this is, I think, where finally we see a little bit of magic. Going to go down and we're on position, or my position, 132, 133, 134. Let's pretend you've captured all this information. You simply go add. Then you clear the screen, which we haven't done yet, and we add some more, and we add, and we add, and we add. So as soon as I go down there, you'll see I'm up to 135. So if I do this 5 more times, we should have data right up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So data, there you go. Now I'm up to 140. So we have just added all of this information in horizontally without doing anything. It literally means we put it in there, we add it in, we clear the screen, we put it in, we add it, we clear the screen. Suddenly you've got a really nice data entry tool. And again, we saw that on the early video, didn't we? You can leave blanks. So even if I delete that information there, the next time I add a form in, it will find the next available hole and fill it in. So there we go. There's nothing more to do. Oh, sorry, we do have one more macro. The clear one is, I haven't got anything assigned yet. Nope. So we have one more macro to do. So we would say record a macro. It's going to be called clear. Okay. What does clear do? It's going to, oh, nearly forgot my golden rule. Select a tab, come back to a tab, highlight all of this information and hit delete. Oops, missed a line. Delete. And that's a great thing about recording. Don't go, oh, I need to record this again. Just fix your mistakes. So I hit delete and I'm going to go control home and I'm going to stop recording. Okay, so now we got a macro that clears our data so we can add new data in. And then all you'd again do is right click, assign the macro, and we want to make this button the clear button. So now we've got clear the screen and we've got add the data, which there's nothing for it actually to add, just blanks at this stage. Great, well that's it. That's how we build up a auto fill up form. Last part we'd like to do is view the data that we've spent all this time capturing it. It's great adding it, but how do we see it? Right, the view data is done in the following formats. We first need a drop-down screen, and there's fancy ways of doing partial drop-down, but I'm going to keep this using the raw basic commands of Excel. So we're going to go to data, we're going to say data validation, we're going to say a list, okay, and it's going to ask us where this list is. So we're going to go all the way across now and right up here, and we are going to show it where all of our possible entries would be. So obviously it's the holding company all the way down to 200, and hit enter. And OK. So all we've done for this little button here is make it a drop down. That's why I said we could have made it smarter and exclude blanks, but anyway. As you can see, it's now a drop down of all the entries. Again, these could be company names, your books, your members of a club that you're running, all their contact details, whatever it is. We've now made ourselves a drop down screen. It's not doing anything yet, but it's there, so we can select. Now this is where we're going to use these numbers over there. Now we can use a command called VLOOKUP to go and fetch all the data we want in one go. So I'm going to go equals VLO, it's found it, tab, control A. What do you want me to find? Well, I will always want you to find whatever was selected. So it's always going to be position E2, and we're going to lock it with an F4. It must never change. It will always be cell E2. Okay, hit enter. Where's the data going to be? Aha. The data, which we could do it from the bottom actually. Let's go and do it this way. We can do it in reverse order, it doesn't matter. Our data is going to be row 200 all the way to the top. Down one. So if you notice, I am selecting a big square of everywhere data could be sitting from B3 to V202. And then we're going to lock that because that will never change. So we lock that as well. Column index number. Just for now, I'm going to put in a 1. I don't know if you know the VLOOKUP command, but you'll know that will be get us the first entry, and I want an exact match, which you could type in the word false or put in a 0. 0 or false both work. I'll just put in a 0. Now all that's going to do at this stage is mimic, believe it or not, what we're selecting. It's saying you're looking for 16. I found 16. That's all it's doing. Okay, but now this is where I like these numbers here. I'm going to say, well, I don't only want to see the first part of the data. I want to see multiple parts. So I'm going to highlight that 1 and say replace that 1 with whatever's sitting in A4. Now, initially, nothing happens. Okay, it's literally, no, nothing has happened. It's the same. But look at this. If any of you have done VLOOKUP in the past, you'll know this is a lifesaver. When I drag this down, there's all my information. Okay, and you'll see that it's all updating now. Look, you've now got a really simple way of viewing customer lists, product lists, whatever it is. Whatever you've captured there, you can now view right next to it based on the same. Okay, I see obviously we're missing some formats, so I'm going to just go and borrow some data again, because I can't remember which cells it is. You wouldn't have to do this. I'm just doing this because I deleted it with the delete button, didn't I? So we're going to go back to forms. We're going to just temporarily right click, paste special, transpose the other way this time, and only the values, and hit OK. Right, so obviously that's meant to be a percentage, so I'm going to cheat a little here and right click copy, go to the VAT field, right click formats, and you'll see that it'll fix up the format. So that becomes a percentage, that becomes a date, that becomes a time. We are now 100% done. You have got the ability to view your data, and you've got the ability to add data. And if you don't believe that it's adding, we'll just temporarily make that Z's, and we'll add 3 of them in. 1, 2, 3. Go to our data, and there they are. And if I delete some entries here, and I go back to my forms and I say add, you'll see that it filled up all the blanks, and then the very next one will jump all the way down to 146. So we'll add one more, and as you can see, it's filled in 146. So it will fill in the blanks and do everything for you. So at the end of the day, you don't, oh, of course you can go and edit this. You're not fixed here. So if John Smith leaves this company and Bill Wiggins comes in, you update it. It doesn't mean you can't edit here, but for getting the data in initially, it was much nicer to do it vertically. So yes, of course you can still edit and make changes here, but it's nice to be able to capture it vertically and then just hit add. That's it for making yourself a simple vertical form with adding and clearing, and a simple way of viewing that data. Hope you enjoyed it.